About three things: simple church, discipleship, and our international congregation. Jesus prayed that we would be all together as one, just as he and his Father was. And this is the closest, I believe, any human congregation has ever come to being as one with each other as we are with our own God. Vision. Our vision for this church is to reach, teach, and send. And we've used that vision very, very well. Our pastor has come up with an absolutely gorgeous plan. And before he even knew what he was doing, per se, he knew what he was doing. But there's also a book out that says Simple Church. And it's very, very close to what his vision has already been. The two people that came up with that one was Drs. Rainier and Drs. Geiger. And they call it Simple Church. They stress that keeping church simple, not only because of your resources, but also because it just pays to have things not complicated amongst your congregation. We're going to have three different sections. First, the part of the vision was to reach. And this is done through our Sunday school, our Sunday congregation, as well as Sunday school. We also have our individual relationships that we reach out to other people and try and get them to come and be a part of our church. The second part is our small groups. We are starting those up. They're getting them running, and that's going to be a very, very big part of the core for the Simple Church. We're going to have such topics as discipleship training, possibly grief training, counseling, and marriage counseling for further down the road. We're going to start off slow and build these things up very, very well before we move on to the next step. The final part of our plan would be the send part. This is where we start to send out ministers, missionaries, and train evangelists and teachers for our future church building projects. Under the discipleship training, this will be handled, of course, under the small groups. But we also got to keep in mind that we are a multinational church. Some of these discipleship groups will have to have specific language training or skills in which to spread the gospel more effectively. At the same time, the maturation of our members is a very important part of these small groups, because without maturity, we cannot grow as a church, at least spiritually. And we have to mature these people very, very well before we move on to the next step. Culturally and language compatibility will be crucial to developing our disciples that come into the church brand new, because some people come from other religions like Buddhism and even Muslim, or I should say Islam. No, Muslim. At any rate, they're going to need a lot of education, and we're going to have to give them a lot of love as well. But we need to make sure that we stay up with our cultural relevance as we build. The 2010 census had Hispanics as a little over 16% of our population here in the United States. By 2050, they're supposed to be 47% of our population. In 40 years, that's almost like a 30% increase. So you see, if we start now, we'll be a much better church then than we are now. And we'll be better prepared to help our community where they live and how they think and how they talk. Unity. Here's one of our strengths. In Ephesians 4:3, it says, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. That's very important, the peace part. Because if we don't have peace with one with another, we're going to be in trouble. As a church, we meet every Sunday, and we sometimes put on our church face. We need to become real with ourselves and with each other. No more playing church. We gotta live church. Okay. without the living part, people will see through our smoke screen and they won't be back. Dr. Tim Clinton, Archibald Hart, and George Oeschlager, in their book, Caring for People God's Way, say that encouragement is one of the best things you can do to counsel people whenever they come out off the street, because they're going to be hurting when they come here. And we really need everybody to be an encourager, not just the leadership. You see somebody that looks like he's hurting, 9 times out of 10 he probably is. So just go up and give him a word of encouragement, a pat on the back, or a good handshake, and ask him how he's feeling. You know, this is what we do best. We ain't got much, but we do have love for each other. And let's spread that throughout the community. Humility. This is going to be one of them that we have to develop out of some people. Some people come by it naturally, but we really do need a humble church. In Neil Cole's Church 3.0, he writes that doctrine is not the best way to unity. You can't legislate it. It has to come from within. That humility is the only true path to unity. That is so true. Our next very big point here is love. John 13:35 says, "By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Ain't that true? That is so true. Because by our example of love to the community, they will know we've spent time with God. In his book, Got Style, Jeffrey Johnson relates an evangelistic style that works best in most all situations. It's called the relational style. And what it basically is you befriend people. Be there whenever they're down, be there whenever they're up, whenever they celebrate, whenever they cry or mourn. Those kinds of relationship bonds do the most for evangelistic efforts throughout any church. Relational individuals are available, they're trustworthy, attentive to others, transparent. That's a big one there. Connected and very loving. They're genuine, sympathetic, unconditional, non-judgmental, and patient. I caution you when asking for patience because it's a tough one. I did that one time. Don't recommend it. Just as in parenting, relational techniques are our best way of getting to the heart of people. Tim Clinton and Gary Sipsey resound what Johnson said before by saying that empathy, assurance, respect, warmth, and responsiveness are all traits of a loving relationship. And we as Christians should be the ones that exhibit these traits the most of anybody. Our relationship with God becomes our safe haven. The only problem is that some of those people coming through that door won't have the relationship with God. So their safe haven will be put into trustworthy things like, or trustless things like money and valuables and worldly things. We've got to kind of transition them slowly into it, but once they develop a relationship with God, you'll see that smile come across their face, and that's worth all the money in the world. According to Guerrero, Anderson, and Afifi, yeah, I had to look that one back up myself, we experience intimacy through the internal processes and related feelings and thoughts in connection with others. So we have to build a relational connection with everyone that comes through the door. If you don't do that the first trip, I doubt that they'll be back for a second. So anything that anybody can do to help somebody feel at home, that's where we need to be on Sundays. In conclusion, we've got to keep it simple. Make sure that our unity, our humility, and our love are all in line come Sunday. Don't come with a fake smile on, make it a meaningful one, because they'll see right straight through that smoke screen. I thank you for listening.